Seattle always looked beautiful from the top floor of the Harbor View Tower. On clear mornings, the sun reflected off Elliott Bay, ferries glided across the water, and the city's skyline shimmered like something out of a dream. From the outside, it looked like the perfect place to begin a perfect life. Sophia Mitchell stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of her apartment, holding a mug of coffee in one hand and staring at the city below. At 28 years old, she had accomplished more than most people twice her age. She was one of the youngest senior architects at a prestigious design firm. Her projects had been featured in magazines. She earned more money than she had ever imagined growing up. She owned a luxury apartment, drove a white Range Rover, and was engaged to Daniel Brooks, a successful corporate attorney. Friends often joked that Sophia's life looked like a Pinterest board. She laughed every time she heard it, because no one knew the truth. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Father's Day, there was one question she could never escape. Why did my father leave me? It was a question that had followed her since she was 8 years old. Whenever she asked her mother, Linda Mitchell, the answer never changed. He made his choice, Sophia. But why? Because some people don't know how to love. Did he ever ask about me? Linda's face would always harden. No. The conversation always ended there. As Sophia grew older, she stopped asking. Not because she no longer cared, but because hearing the same answer hurt too much. Instead, she buried herself in work. Designing buildings became her escape. Unlike people, buildings made sense. Every line had a purpose. Every foundation had to be strong. Everything fit together. Life, however, never did. One Friday evening, Daniel surprised her with dinner at one of Seattle's most exclusive restaurants. The rooftop overlooked the Space Needle, glowing against the night sky. After dessert arrived, Daniel stood. The restaurant grew quiet. A violinist began playing. Sophia's heart started racing. Daniel reached into his pocket, then knelt on one knee. Sophia Mitchell. He smiled nervously. You've been my best friend for 6 years. You've stood beside me through every success and every failure. I don't want another day without you. Will you marry me? The entire restaurant watched. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Yes. Applause erupted around them. Champagne glasses clinked. Strangers congratulated them. Photographers from nearby tables even captured the moment. It should have been the happiest night of her life. Yet, as they drove home, Sophia quietly looked out the passenger window. Daniel noticed. What are you thinking? She forced a smile. I wish my dad could have seen that. Daniel reached over and squeezed her hand. He doesn't deserve to. She nodded. Because that was what she had believed her entire life. A week later, Sophia visited her mother. Linda still lived in the small blue house where Sophia had grown up. The house hadn't changed in years. The same white porch swing. The same rose bushes. The same wind chimes hanging beside the front door. Linda hugged her tightly. My beautiful daughter. Sophia laughed. You always say that. Because it's true. They spent the afternoon baking apple pie together. Just like they had every autumn since Sophia was a little girl. For a while, life felt simple, comfortable, safe. As they cleaned the kitchen, Sophia noticed an old family photo sitting on the shelf. It showed Linda holding 3-year-old Sophia in front of a lake. The corner where another person had once stood had clearly been cut away. Sophia stared at it. Mom. Linda looked over. Who was standing here? Linda froze. No one. The picture was cut. It was damaged. Sophia looked closer. It wasn't damaged. Someone had carefully removed a person. Linda quickly took the photo. It's getting late. The conversation was over. Again. Sophia drove home with a familiar ache in her chest. Some questions never received answers. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Sophia was presenting a multi-million-dollar hotel design when her phone began vibrating repeatedly. She ignored it. After the meeting ended, she looked down. 12 missed calls. All from her neighbor, Mrs. Dawson. Sophia called immediately. Mrs. Dawson answered, crying. Sophia, your mother collapsed this morning. Sophia's stomach dropped. What? They took her to Harbor Medical. Sophia didn't even remember grabbing her keys. She drove through red lights, ignored speed limits, parked crookedly outside the emergency entrance. She ran until she reached the intensive care unit. A doctor met her outside. His expression told her everything before he spoke. "I'm very sorry. We did everything we could." The heart attack was massive. Sophia stood perfectly still. "No. I'm afraid she didn't survive." The hallway became silent. People walked past. Machines beeped somewhere nearby. But Sophia heard nothing. Only one word echoed inside her mind. No. The funeral took place 4 days later. Rain fell from gray skies. Friends, co-workers, neighbors, and distant relatives gathered around the cemetery. Everyone spoke about Linda's kindness, her generosity, her laughter. Sophia listened quietly. After everyone left, she remained alone beside the grave. "I still needed you." The wind carried away her words. For the first time in her life, she truly felt alone. 2 weeks later, Sophia began cleaning out the old house. Every room held memories. Her childhood bedroom, the kitchen where they baked pies, the hallway where her height had been marked on the wall every birthday. She almost decided to sell the house without looking through the attic. Almost. Late that afternoon, she climbed the narrow wooden ladder. Dust floated through beams of sunlight. Boxes were stacked everywhere. Old Christmas decorations, photo albums, furniture covered with white sheets. She spent hours sorting everything. Near sunset, she noticed something strange. One wall panel looked newer than the others. Curious, she tapped it. It sounded hollow. She searched until she found a loose nail. Carefully, she pulled the panel away. Behind it sat a small metal box, covered in dust, locked. Inside one of the nearby drawers, she discovered a tiny brass key taped underneath. Her heartbeat quickened. She unlocked the box. Inside were several yellowed envelopes tied together with a faded blue ribbon, and one sealed letter lying on top. Written in elegant handwriting were the words, "For Sophia. Open only when you're ready to know the truth." Her breathing became uneven. She turned the envelope over. The date stunned her. 20 years ago. Her fingers trembled as she slowly broke the seal. The paper inside had become fragile with age. She unfolded it carefully. The first sentence stole the air from her lungs. "Sophia, if you are reading this, it means your mother can no longer stop the truth from reaching you." She frowned. Her eyes moved to the next line, then the next. Suddenly, everything she believed about her childhood began falling apart. The letter read, "Your father never abandoned you." Sophia stopped breathing. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible." She continued reading. "He searched for you for years. He wrote hundreds of letters. Every birthday, every Christmas, every graduation. He never forgot you." Tears rolled onto the paper. Her hands shook uncontrollably. The final paragraph was even more unbelievable. "Everything you know about your father is a lie." Folded behind the letter, she found dozens of unopened birthday cards. Every single one addressed to her. Every single one in the same handwriting. Every single one beginning with the same words. "To my beautiful daughter." Sophia sank to the attic floor. For 20 years, she had hated a man she had never met. And suddenly, she wasn't sure she knew her own mother at all. She reached for the oldest envelope, slowly opened it, and unfolded the letter inside. The first line read, "Happy 8th birthday, Princess. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but I want you to know that I have never stopped looking for you." Sophia covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. Outside, thunder rolled across the Seattle sky. Inside the silent attic, one hidden box had just destroyed 20 years of certainty. And this was only the beginning. Sophia sat on the dusty attic floor long after the sun had disappeared. The only light came from a small lamp hanging from the ceiling. Around her lay dozens of unopened birthday cards, Christmas letters, graduation congratulations, even a tiny bracelet wrapped in faded blue paper with a tag that read, "For my little girl. I hope one day I can put this on your wrist myself. Love, Dad." Sophia burst into tears. For 20 years, she had celebrated birthdays believing her father had forgotten she existed. Yet every single year, he had written to her. Every Single. Year. She carefully opened another envelope. The paper was dated when she was 12 years old. Happy birthday, Sophia. Today I drove past your old elementary school again. I know you probably don't go there anymore, but I hoped I might catch a glimpse of you. The principal told me your mother transferred you years ago. I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're happy. I only know that I love you more than anything. If someday you read this, please don't believe I gave up on you. I never will. Sophia could barely breathe. She remembered her 12th birthday perfectly. Her mother had baked a chocolate cake. They had watched movies together. Before bed, Sophia had asked one last time, "Do you think Dad remembers my birthday?" Linda had smiled sadly. "No, sweetheart." That memory now felt like a knife twisting inside her heart. The next morning, Daniel arrived to help finish cleaning the house. He found Sophia sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by letters. What happened? Without speaking, she handed him the first letter. He read it slowly, then another, and another. Finally, he looked up. "This changes everything." Sophia nodded. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Daniel sat beside her. "What are you going to do?" She looked toward the window. "I'm going to find him." The final page inside the metal box contained one important clue. A handwritten address. White Pine Ranch, outside Missoula, Montana. There was also a newspaper clipping from 20 years earlier. The blind read. Local firefighter honored for saving children during wildfire. Below the headline was a photograph. A tall man in a firefighter's uniform. Strong jaw. Kind eyes. Dark hair. Sophia stared at the picture. For the first time, she was looking at her father. His name was Michael Carter. She touched the photograph with trembling fingers. His smile looked strangely familiar. Then she realized why. She had the exact same smile. 3 days later, Sophia boarded a flight to Montana. As the plane crossed snow-covered mountains, she couldn't stop thinking. What if he had started another family? What if he hated her? What if he blamed her for everything? Or worse, what if he had already passed away? Every possibility terrified her. Missoula was quieter than Seattle. The air smelled of pine trees and fresh rain. Sophia rented a car and followed a winding mountain road for nearly an hour. Eventually, a wooden sign appeared. White Pine Ranch. Her heart pounded. She pulled into the gravel driveway. The ranch was beautiful. Rolling green fields. White fences. Horses grazing peacefully. A red barn stood beneath towering pine trees. An elderly woman watering flowers noticed her. "Can I help you?" Sophia stepped forward nervously. "I'm looking for Michael Carter." The woman's smile faded gently. "Oh, you're just a little late." Sophia's face turned pale. "What do you mean?" "He retired last year." Sophia's stomach sank. "Is he?" The woman quickly smiled. "He's alive." Relief washed over Sophia so suddenly that her knees almost gave out. "He lives in the cabin by the lake now." She pointed toward a narrow dirt road. 5 minutes that way. Sophia thanked her and drove away. Every second felt like an hour. The cabin overlooked a crystal-clear lake surrounded by mountains. Smoke drifted from the chimney. An old pickup truck sat outside. Sophia turned off the engine. Silence. Only birds singing. She walked toward the porch. Every step felt heavier than the last. She reached the front door, raised her hand, knocked. Footsteps echoed inside. The door slowly opened. A tall man with silver hair stood there. His eyes were the same deep blue as hers. For several long seconds, neither of them spoke. Then he quietly asked, "Can I help you?" Sophia opened her mouth, but no words came. Finally, she whispered, "My name is Sophia." The man's face froze. His coffee mug slipped from his hand and shattered on the porch. His eyes filled with tears. "No." He stepped closer. "No." His voice broke. "Sophia." She nodded. He covered his mouth. For 20 years, he had imagined this moment. Yet nothing could have prepared him for reality. "You." He couldn't finish the sentence. Tears rolled down his face. "I've dreamed about this every single day." Sophia felt tears streaming down her own cheeks. "You know who I am?" He laughed through his tea. Ours. I would recognize my daughter anywhere. Without thinking, he slowly opened his arms. Sophia hesitated for only a second. Then she ran into them. Father and daughter embraced for the very first time. 20 years of pain disappeared into one silent hug. Neither wanted to let go. They spent hours talking beside the lake. Michael answered every question honestly. I never left you. I came home from work one afternoon, and the house was empty. Linda had taken you. There was no note, no address, nothing. I hired private investigators. I spent every dollar I had. I even sold this ranch once to keep searching. Sophia stared at him. Why didn't the court help? Michael looked away. Because your mother told them I was dangerous. What? I wasn't. I had never hurt either of you. She claimed I had anger issues. It wasn't true. The judge believed her. He reached inside the cabin and returned with a large cardboard box. I kept everything. Inside were legal documents, court records, police reports, receipts from investigators, copies of every birthday letter he had ever written. Everything. Sophia realized he had spent 20 years trying to prove his love. As the evening sun reflected across the lake, Michael disappeared into another room. He returned holding a faded photo album. I've been saving this. Inside were hundreds of photographs. Baby Sophia learning to walk. Sophia sitting on his shoulders at the zoo. Sophia asleep on his chest. Birthday parties. Family vacations. A happy family. Sophia couldn't stop crying. I don't remember any of this. Michael smiled sadly. You were too young. He turned another page. Then another. Finally, he stopped at one picture. It showed Linda smiling. She looked happy. Completely different from the woman Sophia remembered. What happened? Michael sighed deeply. I've asked myself that question for 20 years. Before he could continue, a black SUV slowly pulled into the driveway. Michael frowned. I wasn't expecting anyone. A sharply dressed man stepped out. He walked toward them confidently. Sophia immediately recognized him. Her heart skipped. It was Daniel, her fiancé. But why was he here? Daniel looked surprised to see Michael. Then something even stranger happened. Michael's expression changed. His face hardened. You. Daniel stopped walking. You two know each other? Silence. Michael spoke first. I hoped I'd never see you again. Sophia looked from one man to the other. What is happening? Daniel lowered his eyes. Michael's next sentence changed everything. Once again. He never told you? Sophia whispered. Told me what? Michael looked directly at Daniel. Tell her the truth. Daniel remained silent. Michael finally said the words himself. Daniel worked for the law firm that helped your mother keep me away from you. Sophia's world began to collapse for tea. He second time in less than a week. The words echoed through Sophia's mind. Daniel worked for the law firm that helped your mother keep me away from you. For several seconds, no one spoke. The peaceful sounds of the lake suddenly felt distant. Sophia slowly turned toward Daniel. What did he just say? Daniel lowered his head. His silence answered before his words ever could. Michael's voice remained calm. Tell her. Daniel took a deep breath. I never wanted you to find out like this. Sophia's heart pounded. You knew about my father? I found out about 18 months ago. Her face turned pale. 18 months. Daniel nodded. When my firm was digitizing old family court records, I came across your mother's case. Sophia stared at him in disbelief. You knew the truth. While you were asking me to marry you? Daniel's eyes filled with regret. I was trying to protect you. Sophia took a step back. Protect me? You watched me cry every Father's Day. You listened while I blamed a man who had done nothing wrong. You stood there while I hated my own father. And you said nothing. Daniel whispered. I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid you'd lose your mother. Afraid you'd hate me. Afraid everything would fall apart. Sophia's voice shook. It already did. She removed the engagement ring from her finger. Daniel looked at it, then back at her. Sophia, please. She placed the ring in his hand. You didn't just hide the truth. You took away my choice. Without another word, she turned and walked toward the lake. Behind her, she heard Daniel quietly say, "I'm sorry." But for the first time, sorry wasn't enough. That evening, Michael lit a fire outside the cabin. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The flames danced beneath the dark Montana sky. Finally, Sophia asked the question she had feared the most. "Did my mom ever love you?" Michael smiled sadly. "Very much." "Then why?" He stared into the fire. "When you were little, your mother became frightened." "Frightened of what?" "Of losing people." He explained that Linda had lost both of her parents before turning 25. Those losses left deep emotional scars. She became increasingly afraid that everyone she loved would eventually leave her. When Michael's job as a firefighter required long deployments during wildfire season, her fears grew worse. She imagined dangers that weren't there. Arguments became frequent. Anxiety slowly turned into distrust. Eventually, she convinced herself that if she left first, she could never be abandoned. "So she took me." Michael nodded. "It doesn't excuse what happened, but I don't believe she woke up one morning wanting to destroy our family. I think she was trapped inside fears she couldn't control." Sophia wiped away tears. For the first time, she saw her mother not as a villain, but as a deeply flawed human being. The next morning, Michael unlocked an old wooden chest in the attic of the cabin. "I've been saving something." Inside were dozens of carefully wrapped gifts. Every one of them had Sophia's name on it. A stuffed teddy bear, a children's bicycle helmet, storybooks, a tiny graduation necklace, a camera, a leather journal. Each gift represented a birthday he had missed. "I bought one every year. I hoped someday I'd give them to you myself." Sophia couldn't stop crying. "You never stopped believing." Michael smiled. No parent ever truly gives up on their child. Over the following week, father and daughter began creating memories that should have existed decades earlier. Michael taught Sophia to ride horses. They went fishing before sunrise. They cooked pancakes together every morning. They laughed, shared old photographs, told stories. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they simply sat quietly beside the lake. Slowly, 20 years of silence began turning into something new. A relationship. Not built on lost time, but on the time they still had. Back in Seattle, Daniel sent messages every day. "Please let me explain. I never stopped loving you. Can we talk?" Sophia never replied. Instead, she focused on healing. She also made a difficult decision. She requested every legal document connected to her childhood custody case. Weeks later, thousands of pages arrived. As she read through them, a shocking discovery emerged. Several witness statements had disappeared. Important medical evaluations had been excluded. One psychologist's report had been marked not submitted. The report stated clearly, "There is no evidence that Michael Carter presents any danger to his child." Sophia stared at the page in disbelief. Someone had buried evidence. Not only had the truth been hidden from her, the court had never seen all of it. With the help of an investigative journalist, Sophia began piecing together what had happened. The story spread quickly. Newspapers across the country covered the case. Television interviews followed. Thousands of people shared similar experiences of family secrets, custody battles, and years of painful misunderstandings. Sophia never spoke with anger. Instead, she said, "Truth may hurt at first, but lies steal years that can never be returned." Her words resonated with millions. Months later, Sophia organized a charity dedicated to helping children maintain healthy relationships with both parents whenever safely possible. She named it the Open Letter Foundation. Its mission was simple. Every child deserves the truth. The foundation funded legal assistance, family counseling, and emotional support for children caught in custody disputes. Michael became one of its first volunteers. Father and daughter traveled together, sharing their story in schools and community centers. Every audience ended the same way: standing, applauding, sometimes crying. One crisp autumn afternoon, nearly a year after finding the hidden box, Sophia returned to her childhood home one final time. The house was empty, furniture gone, walls bare. Before locking the front door forever, she climbed into the attic. She stood in the exact spot where she had found the metal box. Then she placed a new letter inside. On the envelope she wrote, "For whoever needs the courage to face the truth." Inside she wrote, "The truth doesn't erase the pain of the past, but it gives you the chance to build an honest future. If you're carrying questions you've been afraid to ask them. If you're carrying love you've been afraid to express it. Life is shorter than secrets." She sealed the envelope, smiled softly, and closed the panel. Some stories deserve to stay hidden, but not this one. A month later, Michael visited Seattle for the first time. Together, he and Sophia stood in front of the apartment window overlooking Elliott Bay. Years earlier, she had looked out at the same skyline believing she was alone. Now her father stood beside her. He smiled. "You've built an incredible life." Sophia looked at him. "I thought I built it alone." She gently took his hand. "But now I know, part of my strength came from someone who never stopped believing in me." Michael's eyes filled with tears. "So, what should we do next?" Sophia smiled the same smile she had inherited from him. "Let's make up for 20 years. They walked out of the apartment together, not trying to reclaim the past, but ready to create a future neither of them thought they would ever have. Sometimes, the greatest gift isn't getting back what you lost. It's discovering that love was waiting for you all along.